Lovely. Everybody's gone further back now. Project on. Well, welcome everybody. Lovely to see you. Welcome back to those of you that have been before. Welcome to new faces. We have a few new faces, which is fantastic. I suppose I should do an intro for the benefit of those people that have not been with us before. Does anybody know anything about mindfulness? Or
only what I've read and I've listened to your website and your...
Oh, so have you watched one or two of the
yes.
little videos? Okay, well you'll be familiar with the sort of format. Okay. Well, the roots of mindfulness, they come from Buddhist practice. So it is a meditative practice. Part of, a core element of it is meditation. But the essential essence of it is about being in the present moment, being aware of this moment in time. Because this moment, right now, is the only moment that you have to experience being alive. The past has gone. We can't do anything about what's happened in the past. We can't change the past, nor can we do anything particularly about the future. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. And yet, as human beings, we spend an inordinate amount of time either going over the things that have happened in the past, wishing that they were different, wishing that we'd done something different, getting ourselves all worked up about those things that have happened in the past. But we can't change anything. Good evening, I need to get you a chair, sir. Hang on.
Yes, sir, please.
Oh, is it Commodore now? Are you back from your career?
No, I put my pedestal off the wall. I had that experience.
Oh, is she? Oh, yeah.
Down here, honey.
Stick both on there. In the cheap seats.
Yeah. We expect to reduce strike, Jim.
Okay, I'll give you a full refund.
Thank you.
That's quite all right. I was just doing a bit of preamble for our newbies. Yes. So as human beings, we tend to spend a lot of time worrying about the past, getting worked up about things that have happened in the past, and it can cause us a huge amount of stress and anxiety. Similarly, we do the same thing with the future. We worry about what might happen tomorrow, and so as a consequence, we don't actually spend our time aware of the present moment. We don't actually have our minds and our senses and our awareness rooted in the present moment, which is the only moment that actually exists. This moment in time right now is the only moment that you are experiencing, that you can experience. You can only experience being alive in this moment in time right now. And that's what mindfulness is about. It's about cultivating and developing your awareness of this present moment in time. And by doing that, it can greatly benefit you, because you don't then become preoccupied with going over things that have happened in the past. You don't then fill yourself with the frustrations and the anxieties that can stem from things that have happened in the past, or the things that may or may not happen in the future. And so you're able to be aware of being alive, which is, after all, the most important thing. It's the critical thing. It's the most wonderful thing. To be alive, to have a life, is amazing. So it's important to be able to experience it and be aware of it. So that's one essential principle. The other aspect to it, which comes from mindful practice and from being aware of what is happening in this moment is acceptance. Being able to accept the situation that you find yourself in this moment. Because, as I'm sure everybody can testify to, life fluctuates. Good things happen, bad things happen. And we have a tendency to want to label them and say, oh, this is good, this is bad, and we want to avoid the bad stuff and only focus on good things and having a good time and higher. And it becomes very difficult to accept what is happening because we constantly label things. We label them as being good or bad and try and reject the bad and focus on the good. And again, that's relatively futile because we can't stop bad things from happening. You know, that's life. It is up and down. You know, I'm not going to start quoting Ronan Keating songs and pretending it's a roller coaster or anything like that. But it does fluctuate. You know, we have days when we feel fab, and then there are days when we feel less fab. You know, if I'm going to apply a label to it, we'll stick with that: fab and less fab, as opposed to good and bad. But if you're able to accept it, if you're able in any moment, if you're able to accept that this is the situation that you find yourself in this moment, then you are more likely to be able to respond to that situation in the most productive and effective and appropriate way. Which can lead me on to talk about one of the final thing, that being this principle of the way that we respond. Unfortunately, and I'll stick with unfortunately. Unfortunately, we are human beings and our brains have developed over the course of millions of years, and there are elements to that makeup which are primal, which are driven by instinct, which are driven by our emotions, driven by fear, driven by our need to find food, our need to procreate. A lot of those very basic and primal urges and instincts. And our emotions tie into those as well. So when we're afraid, or when we get angry, or when we get upset. And what can often happen is that when we find ourselves in a particular situation, it's those aspects of our being, those emotions, those drives, those primal urges that can take hold. And in those cases, we tend to react to situations. Something happens and we react to it emotionally. We may get angry, we may get upset. And getting angry and getting upset is not always the best way to respond. You know, when we get angry in a particular situation, the fallout from that and the outcome that follows on from that is not always particularly pleasant. Now, I can speak from experience. I am a man who has, on occasion, got angry. I've had arguments and disagreements with my better half, and there has been anger involved, and the fallout from that is unpleasant, shall we say, or unproductive, negative. However, if I had been more mindful in those situations, if I had been able to be more aware, more accepting the situation that I found myself in, I would have been less likely to react and more likely to respond. If I can accept what is happening, then are more likely to respond to that situation in an appropriate and efficient and effective way. It makes you a better communicator, it makes you better able to express yourself, express your standpoint, makes you a much more tolerant person, and it can improve your relationships. It makes you more creative. It makes you more productive. Lots and lots and lots of benefits. So I've kind of given mindfulness the hard sell there. I've staked a claim for mindfulness on why it's beneficial, why it should be practiced, which moves me on to the how. How can it be practiced? How can it be done? Now, for those people that have visited us before, they know that my take on it is relatively simple. And that's the beauty of mindfulness. It is incredibly simple. It isn't easy, and there's a differentiation there. It's not easy, but it is simple. And what we aim to do through the group is to enable people to be able to bring mindfulness into their lives frequently. So lots of opportunities for it throughout the day. There are those people who will sit and meditate for an hour. And if you are able to do that, if you are able to spend an hour being aware of the present moment, enjoying that still calmness that comes, fantastic. However, if you're a busy person, if you're a family man or woman, or there's all the pressures of work or the pressures of the activities that you undertake, if you volunteer, whatever it is that you do, life is busy. And so being able to fit in an hour or even half an hour to sit and meditate is difficult, which is why one of the things that I hope to convey and instill in people is a constant snapshot practice, if you like. So lots of little things that you can do all throughout the day, all the time, that brings your awareness to the present moment. Because when you bring your awareness to the moment, you stay there for a little while. And the more you do that throughout the day, the more that accumulates. And it's possible to find that, before long, you're spending an hour of your day in the moment, 2 hours of your day, 3 hours, 4 hours, the whole of your day, absolutely in the moment. And that's really what it's about. For me, anyway. I'm sure there are people out there that are mindful practitioners and teachers that will say, no, it's absolutely essential that you sit for a prolonged period of time and accept the discomfort of sitting, the agony of being, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's merit in doing that, but for the world that we occupy, the society that we live in, the relationships that we enjoy or don't enjoy, whatever your particular circumstance is, if you can bring your awareness to the present moment repeatedly, all throughout the day, then you're building your practice. And that can lead on to more prolonged practice. That can lead on to you deciding to go on a retreat and spend an entire weekend getting cramps as you sit cross-legged, breathing for hours on end. And if that happens, then fantastic. But if you can accumulate this toolkit, these skills to be able to bring awareness to this moment repeatedly, then you'll begin to reap some benefits. And you'll begin to be able to experience some of that stillness and that peace that exists. Okay. Now, what we usually do is within the course of our little get-together is there's a couple of exercises that we will practice, and then we have a topic around which I talk. And I didn't really come up with a topic for this week. I thought I might reuse last week's, which was going to be a kind of a guided meditation. So I think we'll probably do that. Because I think there's some interesting elements to it that we can talk about. But we'll get to that in the fullness of time. Now what I think would be good, and we haven't done this for a little while, is we'll clap. As we have a nice group, we'll do the clapping. Now this first exercise that we'll do is very straightforward. All we have to do is clap. And I'm sure everybody is capable of clapping. And how this works is when I clap, you clap. And the aim is that it doesn't sound like a dozen people randomly clapping when they want to. It's one clap. Okay, so we'll try it and we'll see how it goes, and I'm sure you'll get the gist of it. After about 2 claps, you'll be well into it. Okay, so hands ready. Here we go. Just be aware of me. When I clap, you clap, and I won't trick you. I've said this before. I'm always tempted to do that, but I won't do that. That would be cruel, and I'm not here to embarrass anyone. So. Hands are ready, here we go. Actually, that was pretty good for the first one. Normally, it's really random, but that was pretty good. Okay. That was good. See, you're getting it. It's easy. Well, it's simple. It's not easy, it's simple. Two more. Oh, that was beautiful. Good. Excellent. So that first time I saw that being done, it was being done as a sort of a team bonding, team building little exercise, and I saw people do it, and I thought, what that is that's a little exercise in mindfulness, because that's about cultivating awareness. Everybody just was eyes on me, aware, watching, waiting for my movement. So here's a question: while we were doing that, who was thinking about what they had for dinner, or who was thinking about what happened during the day that they did or did not like? Who was thinking about what might happen tomorrow? Was anybody thinking any of those thoughts? No. Nobody was thinking any of those things. Doesn't matter what we had for dinner, doesn't matter what happened today, nor does it matter what may happen tomorrow, later this evening or tomorrow. The only thing that you were aware of was this moment, and being prepared for the next clap. You weren't even thinking about the clap that you'd just done, or the one before that, or you weren't even thinking about the clap after the one that you were about to. It was just all about this next clap that's going to happen in a moment now. And there is no better illustration of mindfulness than that. There was no concern for what happened before, no concern for what may happen in the future, just this moment. And the clap that is happening now. There is no better illustration than that. Okay, good. Everybody's nicely in the moment now. So we'll build on that. We'll go into our next exercise. And this one is about engaging the senses. And so one by one we engage our senses. And it's the information that we gather through our senses, what we see, feel, hear, that tells us where we are in space and time, what's happening in this moment right now. So to begin, just have a little look around and just look at shapes and colours and what you can see. And it's not about, I say this and everybody starts doing it, it's not about labelling objects. It's not about going window, candle. It's just about seeing and what you can see right now. when you've had a look around, you may close your eyes and bring your awareness to your body and what you can feel. So if you are sitting back into your chair, you can be aware of the pressure of your back resting against the back of the seat. Aware of gravity pulling down through your spine, down into your bottom, and your bottom pressing into the seat of the chair. Aware of the position of your legs, down to your feet in contact with the floor. You can be aware of the clothes against your skin. On your legs, on your arms, your chest. And you may also be able to feel the movement of air on your skin. Particularly on your hands, you'll be able to feel the air moving across your skin. And then take a breath through the nose and just be aware of smell. Just connecting with our sense of smell. And then taste. Aware of the taste that is in your mouth at this precise moment in time. And then finally you can shift your awareness to sound, to what you can hear. And for the next few moments, I just invite you to be aware of sound and accept sound as it happens. And if your mind wanders, which it very probably will do, it doesn't matter. Just be aware that your mind has wandered and bring that awareness back to just listening. If the mind wanders, it doesn't matter. Just acknowledge it and bring it back to listening. Now there's usually a lot more, it was quite quiet tonight, there's usually a lot more traffic going on outside. And there's a bit of a misconception that mindfulness is about peace and quiet, and being, removed from the world and being able to enjoy some solitude and some peace and quiet and rest. And actually, it's almost the exact opposite. It's about being able to embrace the noise. It doesn't matter if there's roadworks going on and there's diggers and JCBs and pneumatic drills and all the rest of it. It doesn't matter if that is what's happening. If you're doing an exercise like that, it doesn't matter, because, and it's more so in this day and age than ever before, I suppose. Perhaps the Blitz was a little bit different. But our lives are noisy. There's a lot of commotion. There's a lot that goes on. I've got young children, so there's a lot of noise in my world, and I could get frustrated about that. I could demand silence, but that wouldn't be particularly fair on my children. It'd also be absolutely impossible. But it's not appropriate. Certainly as a family man with kids, it's not appropriate for me to expect my children to be silent and to tiptoe around the house, making no noise whatsoever. They should squabble. There should be noise. There should be arguments between the kids and all that kind of stuff. Because that's how they learn, that's how they will grow. And I can learn from that, I can grow from that. The way that I respond to that, there's opportunities for me. I must accept that. I have to accept that is what's happening in this moment. Whatever noise, whatever commotion is going on in my life in this moment, the first and foremost thing is to accept it and then respond. And my response may be to go, shut it now, enough. My response may be, there's too much going on, I just need to step aside somewhere and have a walk and just centre myself for a moment. Or not, or it's just, okay, I accept it, this is what's happening now, and chances are, in future moments, it will be different, because it will be. If they are digging up the road, they're not going to dig up the road forever. The workmen are going to have to go home at some point and stop, and they will. But in this moment, I just accept it. So yes, so mindfulness is not about peace and quiet. It's not about serenity in that way. It's about being able to accept the noise and the commotion, and then finding the serenity through that acceptance. Okay. Excuse me while I'm slow. Now, usually what we do, as many of you will know, is we have a topic, and we talk around a topic, and the topic always comes back to mindfulness, because it would be inappropriate for it not to, given that this is the Deal Mindfulness group. But I don't particularly have a topic for tonight, other than last week I was going to do a sort of a guided meditation, and I thought actually it's a good practice to do, because there's some questions that we can ask around that. So maybe we'll do that first, and then I can ask the questions of it afterwards. So we'll see how this pans out. I don't quite know how it's going to go yet, but that's the way that I operate. So you may close your eyes if you wish. And to begin, just become aware of your breath. So aware of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And for the next few breaths, just Follow the breath, and I'll invite the bowl to sound as you breathe. And as you continue to maintain awareness of the breath and allowing yourself to relax into the stillness of every breath with each breath as you take it, I would like you to bring to mind a field. And at the far end of the field is growing a tall tree. I don't know what kind of tree this is. I don't know whether the tree has leaves or whether the leaves have fallen. But you are aware that at the other end of the field there is a tree. And now you begin to walk across the field towards the tree. Aware of your footsteps as you walk. Aware of the other things that you can see. The odd cloud in the sky, the occasional bird flying, the colours of any hedgerows, colours of in the surrounding fields. You're getting closer to the tree now. And when you get to the point where you are standing in front of the tree, become aware of the appearance of the tree, the colour of the bark, the visual texture of the tree trunk. Reach out your hands and you can touch the tree, and aware of the feel of the tree. The texture of the bark as you touch it. And now you turn your back to the tree, so you're facing away from it, the tree behind you. You lean backwards, so your back rests against the tree trunk. And then you allow yourself to sink back into the tree and become the tree. And for the next few moments, reconnect with your breath. And you're aware of the air entering and leaving the body. But now it is as if you're absorbing the air through the branches, through your branches. Drawing the air down into your centre, through the branches, and then back out. yourself into this moment. That you are rooted to and anchored to this moment, and yet drawing your nutrients and your sustenance out of this moment, up through your roots, into your being. So for the next few moments, just feel that. Feel the roots of your tree rooted in this moment, drawing energy from this moment. Connect once again with the breath. This time aware that your breath connects with your roots, and as you breathe in, it's as if the air is being drawn up through your roots, up into your being. And then as you breathe out, it passes back down out through your roots. Next few moments now, just experience being a tree. Your branches reaching up into the sky, your roots stretching down into the ground. Your trunk and your branches solid, yet flexible. And when you are ready, you may step forwards out of the tree, back into the field, and begin to walk away. And after walking a short distance, after a few steps, when you are ready, you may open your eyes. Now that's something a bit different to what we usually do, and I suppose I thought I'd do something like that because I do, as many of you may know, I do hypnotherapy as well. And whilst you may think that being mindful is the absolute polar opposite of being in a trance. One is about being very much aware and in the moment and aware of what's going on around you, whereas being in a trance is being cataleptic and out. But actually I found through my therapy practice that actually you can go from a very mindful state quite easily into a very hypnotic state, and I use it quite a lot. And then I started thinking about, that kind of guided meditation is the kind of thing that happens a lot. If you go to with a lot of Buddhist practice, there will be a mountain meditation where you bring to mind an image of a mountain and you adopt the awareness of being a mountain, or the tree, like we just did. You will be a tree. And I started thinking about, well, how does that sit? Because, on one level you could say, well, that's just an exercise in imagination. It's almost as if I'm just asking you to imagine stuff, and you're picturing it in your brain, and you're conjuring up these thoughts and these ideas. And kind of goes against what I've just been saying about the fact that we have all these thoughts that are generated in our head, yet it's very much about just being. When we were doing the clapping, I said, who's thinking about this and who's thinking about that? It's almost about being devoid of thought and not thinking. And yet, there we go with a little meditation exercise, which is about me generating these thoughts in your head. How can that be mindful? What's mindful about pretending to be a tree? If mindfulness is about being aware, about accepting what is happening right now, how is pretending to be a tree possibly mindful in any way, shape or form? Any ideas? Anybody got the answer to that question? No?
Because you're focusing on that.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what I came around to thinking. It is the fact that that's what's happening in this moment, or in that moment. When we were doing it, in that moment, that is what you were aware of, regardless of the fact that it was happening in here. That you were, to all intents and purposes, using your imagination, utilising your mind's eye in order to visualise the field and the tree, and then feel stepping into the tree and becoming aware of how it feels to be a tree. That's all. There were no real trees. None of you actually turned into a tree. It was all very much in here. You were going to say something. There was an intake there.
There wasn't room for anything else.
No, there wasn't.
Because you were concentrating on being the tree.
You were. That's all you were.
So the past, thoughts from the past or future weren't there.
Exactly. And it wasn't, it wasn't you bowing to my will. Yes, I was kind of not planting the thoughts, but I was guiding your visualization. But you were only aware in that moment of what you were visualizing. And that also is mindful practice. As much as it is about being aware of what is going on around you and accepting the situation you find yourself in, your being, your situation in this moment isn't just the external. It is also in here, and what you are thinking and what you are feeling. And that's the flip side of mindful practice. It's about being able to be aware of how you feel.
Jim,
Hello. That's me.
I was aware that it was a relaxation exercise.
Mm-hmm.
I was also aware of I had trouble visualising the tree.
Mm.
I was aware of that. And frustrated.
So you were aware of that
I was aware of
frustration?
that, and I was also aware of a tenseness in my neck, maybe born out of the way I sit in, all the frustration.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And so you can bring awareness to it.
And that's it, exactly right. And that's good, because that's that flip side that I'm talking about. It's being able to be aware, because a lot of frustration and anxiety stems from not being aware of how you feel and what you're thinking. You know, that we've talked a lot in the past about suppression and suppressed anger, suppressed feelings, and people don't allow themselves to be aware of the fact that they are unhappy, or aware of the fact that they are frustrated, or aware of the fact that they are angry or sad, or even aware of the fact that they are happy. But if as your mindful practice develops and you do become able to be aware of that, then you are able to accept it. And if you can accept that you feel, what was it I said? What was the phrase that I used at the beginning? I can't remember what I said now.
Fab. And not
Fab, yeah, not fab. You know, if you're aware, well done. Someone was paying attention. You know, if you're aware that you're feeling not fab, then you can accept that not fabness and address that and respond to it appropriately. You know, but people don't, do they? They go on day after day after day, feeling absolutely not fab, but refusing to acknowledge it, refusing to accept it, refusing, more to the point, refusing to be aware